were Japan and India.
Oh, India, I'm not done.
But the others, Germany and France, and Spain, they're all similar to England, but they just speak a different language. So I always felt they were just so blown away. I couldn't understand the Indians to save my life.
No, the Orient is so mystic, though. That's
Yeah.
what's great about it.
But the whole makeup of the people is totally devoid from anything we know about. The whole attitude, everything is just too far out. The concept of life is totally different to European, which
American.
America's European. That's where it came from.
Neo-European.
Unless you have the little pockets of Indians.
Yeah.
Yes, although our language came from India.
Ours or yours? Why, our language?
Yours.
Well, because it's the first written word, or the first sound.
No, apparently the English is part of the Indo-European group of languages, and it all kind of started spreading from northern India.
Well,
across,
yes, like life did.
Yeah. Across there.
Yeah, like the Red Indians are Mongolian, because of the landmass between Europe and Russia through Canada down here. That's what they say also.
We could do a program on cultural language.
Where did it come from? Hello, where were you born?
Are we rolling yet, guys?
Are you rolling?
We're rolling. We have been for about 3 minutes.
Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
great. Ringo,
Ah, Mary.
is it true you're joining the Stones?
No. Ronnie Wood joined the Stones.
I wanted to ask you, since you left your previous band, you pursued not only the record making, the musicianship that you were into, but also to a very large degree acting. I'm wondering, is it a dichotomy for you? Which do you like best? Which is most important to you?
Well, there's 15 questions. A choice of being a musician or an actor, is that basically what you're saying?
Not really would you make a choice, but which direction are you heading in? Or are you
I think
equally-
the end direction is acting for me. Right now, and always has been, it's been a musician. But, I can't see any fun of making the records I'm making now at 65, or if anyone would want them, or going into a studio and playing drums, where I feel you can act much longer than you can be a musician. That's how I feel. Though I know everyone will phone in and say, no, you can play till you're 93, but it's different. I'd prefer to gradually fade out one part and go into another. Right now I'm very lucky I can do both.
Was Hard Day's Night your first venture into acting?
Yes. And they didn't want us to act, that was the drag. They kept saying, be yourself. It's very hard to be yourself.
How much control did the Beatles have over those movies?
Not very much.
So you went in and were yourself?
We tried to be ourselves. We didn't write any... everyone says, oh, they wrote a lot of it, and it's ad-libbed. If 2% was ad-libbed, that would be about it. It was all written, and we tried to perform it.
It really came off very natural.
I think so.
It seemed like four guys having a real good time.
They did for a lot of it.
What about Son of Dracula directing and that sort of thing?
Well, Son of Dracula produced.
Which one did you directed? One, two?
Well, just the Mark Bolan movie.
Did you like that?
Loved it. That's the king. That is the king. I don't care. There's acting, producing, and directing. I've done 3 of them. Acting is the king just for what you can give out. And directing is what you can bring from other people. It's most interesting occupation.
Has the Mark Bolan movie been released yet, or he's
Never
still-
here, no. And now he's dead, of course, so there's not much interest at all. In England, they show it. Well, they don't even show it now. They had a showing last year for sort of a benefit for Mark, but they used to show it when the children were on holidays, Easters and Christmas and summer holidays, because his following was mainly 15-year-olds.
I've heard you say that when you first started acting, you wanted to be a movie star,
I did.
and now you want to be an actor.
Well, I think there's a difference. I think before I went into movies, just like put me on the screen, 25 feet tall. If you haven't been on screen, you don't believe how big that is. It's real big. So you just wanted to be some sort of an actor and you get away with anything. A movie star, as it were. Then you get into acting, which is totally different, because you're trying to create much more. It's fascinating. I mean, to create a character, you know, or take one of your own and just put him to the front instead of the one you've got now. It's that's what's exciting. So I wanted to be a movie star, and then I wanted to be an actor.
You've worked with a lot of real famous people on films. I'm especially interested in the last movie, Sextet, that you did. What was it like to work with Mae West?
Well, I had 2 moving experiences with Mae. One was in the Chinese restaurant, and so no. When we first started the movie, the first day on the movie, because Mae, do you have quiz shows? How many movies did Mae West make? Now, if you answer this correctly, you win a Ringo Bad Boy Star album. You know how many she made?
No, no idea. 8?
How can they guess now? You gave it away. 8 movies, or 9 now.
That's all she made?
Everyone says, 50, 100, 1,000. I mean, everyone thinks Mae is... Mae is a legend, you see. I think Mae is a legend more than Johnny Cash. Because Mae is just this... She is a legend. And what has she done? I mean, many years ago she did Broadway and then these 8 movies, which it's all about. So the first day on the film, we go on and nobody said anything to me. It was Mae, Mae, Mae. Because it's Mae's movie, you know. So I got crazy. I mean, no one told me if I was good, bad, or indifferent. It didn't matter, you know. If someone had said, "Oh, that was real terrible, Ring," I'd have enjoyed it because someone would have at least talked to me. But it was all Mae this and Mae that, and you know. So I hated it. I hated that day, and I phoned up the next night. I said, "I don't care. Get me off this film. I'll pay for the day's shoot." You know, I just can't stand it. It was that bad. I don't want to know. So we all had a meeting the next day. They love to have meetings, and they showed. I said, I think what I did was terrible. I don't feel any, you know, and there's no comfort, and it's just terrible. So they said, come and we'll show you the rushes, and we'll talk about it. So we went and saw the rushes. And you had to get used that Mae is not the fastest person in town. And it's, you know, it's an honest point of view. She's not the fastest. So they showed me what we'd done all day, which wasn't very much. But I'd been there all day and felt, you know, nobody cared. That was part of the problem. So the next day we go in and they show me the rush and we talk about it, and I tell all these problems like I'm telling you. Oh, I don't know what's happening. No one says I'm bad, good, or what. So we talk about it and discuss it and get through it. So it comes around, okay, I see the rushes, they're not that bad. And so we go the next day to work. I worked 4 more days with Mae, and at the end of those 4 days, I phoned up and said, can I pay to be on the movie? Because she is dynamite. I mean, it's a long way of saying it, but it makes it more interesting to the listeners. She's an amazing woman, most amazing woman. And she is a legend, and she deserves to be.
It was a great movie. I dug that movie.
Well, I've never seen the movie, so I can't talk too much about it, just my situation with Mae.
So in that movie, you play a movie director.
That's the truth. Yeah. Well, and I played it like the movie directors you've always seen in movies. You know, the Jodhpurs and the Loud Hail and the Beret and, you know, light. They're always setting up the shots everywhere they look. You know, they don't talk to anyone unless they've got the thing on their faces, squaring them off. So I've tried to play it like as a Hungarian, mainly because, you know, there's a lot of Hungarian, German and Russian directors in that period, I suppose. You know, it was always, come closer to the camera, please, darling. You know, they never said, if you don't mind, could you move over there? It was always in this sort of accent with the Jodhpurs.
Have you ever studied acting?
No, never studied anything.
Drumming?
Only live. No, drumming I never studied. I went to 1 lesson. And that was enough. You know, I couldn't take it, so I just played. I made all my mistakes with groups.
You know, even from the first movie, you seem to demonstrate, I'm sure you've heard it and seen it written by critics, you seem to demonstrate a natural comedic flair. I mean, you're able to do it.
Yes, but I don't know how to do it. I just do it. You know,
did you have a fantasy life when you were a little kid? I know you spent a lot of time in hospitals. You must have... Bring on the violin.
I was very sick as a child. No, it's just part of my makeup. You know, a lot of people think it's real boring, but I don't. It's just part of my makeup. You know, I don't train to be anything. This is the training to live is hard enough. I'm training to be insane, if anything.
Well, how did you come up with the concept of a TV special? You've just done your first TV special. Prince and the Pauper.
Ringo, based loosely on the Prince and the Pauper. When is this on?
This interview, this will be on
Couple months.
a couple months.
Months? Well, yeah, we did the Ringo special last April. So, how it came about is, well, it came about years ago when I was asked to do a TV show. I said, okay, what should we do? And the concept was, and it still is, you go on, you invite a guest, you do a song and a sketch or either. And I was never interested in that sort of TV show because it's not special to me. It's just someone taking a couple of, an hour out of everyone's life and calling it special. It's only special because they're on TV. But the thing itself isn't special, so I never enjoyed it. So November I was approached again to do a TV special. And we talked, and it was getting close to where I wanted it. It all had to relate to something. The original concept was everything relates to time. We never go back. So if we did Back Off Boogaloo, we could never do a record that came before it. Everything would have to be from it. So it was all like a chronological order. And that fell apart. Then we had a couple of good ideas that people submitted and things like that. But it just wasn't working. It was probably Mercury in retrograde again. But so in November, it came together, then fell apart in December, and I said, no, it's the end of it. I don't want to do this show. It's not working. Things aren't coming together. They said, please don't say that now. Give us till the 6th of January. I went to London to spend Christmas with my children, came back to spend New Year here. And on the 6th, they came to the house with Neil Israel, who had 5 pages of what we did, which is loosely based on The Prince and the Pauper, which excited me enough to sit down with everybody and we'll talk about it and write it out, which Neil did the writing. And it was his basic idea, but everyone else chipped in for the final product. That's why we did it was because I didn't want to do Here's My Next Guest.
Is there an element of truth in that story, the Agner Rat story? Is he really your alter ego? Would you like to do that?
Yes, I think that there's two of all of us in a way, everyone. And yes, I think it's a true story. In fact, on the position just of Ringo, that's why we use Ringo, because that's what I am. And the guy who sells maps to the stars' homes, who would want to live in one of those big houses. But you see, they think if you have one of those big houses, you have all the responsibility of that house, and mainly is going out to work every day to pay for it, so, and the staff, and so everything you get, you have to pay for. I'm pruning now. I'm back to the little house on the prairie, because, you can't take too much of that. It's the responsibility of other people just gets crazy.
Plus it demands on your time.
It takes your time away from creating something just by wondering if the cleaning lady's kept happy and she'll be in tomorrow. I don't need that responsibility, We'll find a friend who'll polish the brass.
What about maintaining creative control on a project like the television special or even an album?
You can only have so much on the TV special because, firstly, it's the first one I've done, so you rely on people. You rely on people who are in that business. But you find out you can rely on so-and-so for only so much. And you rely on so-and-so for this much or that much, depending on the positions. So that's the great lesson. And the thing that's real great is I'll have more control of the next one. I think on this one, we proved, that it's a viable position to put me in a TV position, right? And in that way is the only way I want to go. Now, The network didn't really want to give me control because they think I'm some sort of dumb rock and roller. The people who put up the bread didn't, they trust your face and your image, but they don't really ever trust your brain. They think it's some sort of Dumbo. The producers themselves would like to pretend they're producing. So you have to go round all these people, and you have to, in the end, unless you're one of those people who say, okay, well, you'd all do it and I'll come and be me. With me, it's different, where I said, well, you've got to all do it around me because I'm the one that's out there. If it does win, we'll all win. But if it fails, I'm the only one who really fails in that situation, It's Ringo went down the tubes, they don't remember anybody else. So that's why you have to go and fight for whatever you put on.
And that's the thing that people always seem to forget.
Oh, you have to. And if you do anything, you have to promote it. Because there's so much out there now. That the days are changing now, You can't just sit there and say, oh, I'll put something out and it will go down. You have to promote.
Do you go in, when you embark upon a project like that, do you go by your instincts? Do you trust your instincts, or do you try and find experts?
No. You trust your instincts so far, and the only time you don't is when you fall apart. The only time you make that mistake, is if it says go left inside of you, go left. No matter who is on the other side saying, no, just right here, just go right. If it's down in there, grabbing his gut, if it's down in that body of yours, go left. Right, it doesn't matter, but that's what I'm saying. But you have to trust them for a certain period. The director, you had to trust him. I had to sit with him and talk. And Jeff Margolis did a wonderful job. Hope you like the puppies, Jeff.
You're working with somebody like Vinnie Poncia.
That's the record.
Right, and that's a similar thing where you also would want creative control.
Yes, but that's totally different to the TV because I've been in records, a couple of years now. Where TV, it's a strange one for you. Records, about players, I'm playing on albums, I make albums, and producers, the environment you go into. It's totally different. So when you make a record, this one with Vinny and I, because I thought, let's just go in and see what we get, Let's see what we do. And we ended up with a fine album. Usually if you have if you take the producer, the situation, it's marked out 2 weeks to do this, a month to do that, this and that. This one, we just went in and had a good time, and the reason for doing it, to see how long we could maintain the good time. And I think we did.
I think that seems to me to be the key to your whole approach to life.
It-
You seem so positive.
Yes, but it's getting more positive that if it isn't fun, get out.
Exactly.
It's the same with factories, I keep going, it's more of an English dialogue. They keep saying, oh, what about all those people in factories? Well, they can leave. And they say, well, they're married. Well, so what? They can all leave, You don't have to be lumbered in a position because you're put there. If you stay there, don't moan about it. And so I'm getting a bit like that lately.
Well, you're a guy who obviously you don't have to work.
A hell of a kind of a guy.
A wild and crazy guy.
Now, isn't he doing well? But does he like himself?
I don't know. But so you work your little buns off all year round. If you're not doing a record, you're doing TV. Or you're
Well, I've just started doing TV, but
Mhm.
yes, if you do something, then you have to follow it through. That's the point of the whole discussion, I would think, that you have to promote it. And that's what we're doing now. We're promoting my new record, Ringo Bad Boy Starr, on Portrait Records and Tapes.
But you dig it, don't you?
Oh, yes.
You dig it.
Yes. Otherwise, don't bother coming. That's the same again. If I'm going to arrive here to be interviewed by the great Mary, I can't come here hating it. To arrive here hating the whole situation, I might as well stay at home. So if I come here, at least we can talk to each other and have try and have a reasonably pleasant time, because we're working together. And you can say anything you like, and so can I, but we're still working, and that must be continued,
So this is your first record on a new label
Yes,
with a new producer.
yes.
How did you arrive at doing these changes? And is this a good everything working fine? Good combination for you?
You see, now I'm real pleased you said combination, because I totally believe in combinations. Atlantic and I were a combination that didn't make it. As you know, that's the company I was with before. And it was not because of them or because of me. It's because of just life. You know, it's like the poles didn't meet somehow. Nothing to do with me. You know, when you go to a party and you meet someone and they don't do anything to you, but you just know deep inside, we can't get on. There's something there that we can't handle. It doesn't match. So I feel it was like that with Atlantic. We tried our best. God knows, Atlantic tried and I tried. But the biggest thing was Armit Erdogan, who I always thank, and Atlantic Records, of course, WEA, who it all goes through, where we came to the point with the new record, and we looked at our positions together, you know, Atlantic and me, and it was not working. So we said, well, if it's not working, why don't we split? And there's very seldom will any company who've got you signed, and especially if they've got one of the biggies signed, you know, it doesn't matter, it's not a big-time attitude, they have a biggie, will let you go. And they agreed, which was the biggest thing I've heard about in the music business in, must be 20 years. So we parted amicably, we said, yes, thank you, I don't know you, you don't know me, we tried, but we just didn't make it, you know. So that's how we got separated from Atlantic, who I was with, and then Portrait. We came in to deal with them, you know. They were interested, I was interested, and I like what they're doing. And they supposedly like what I'm doing. That's how we got with them. That was how that change came about. And, you know, let's hope the Magnets are fine. They feel fine up to now. But the record, of course, is the test.
This is a record you recorded where?
Canada.
And also Bahamas?
And the Bahamas. I did the backing tracks in Vancouver and the vocals in the Bahamas.
How long did it take you to do this album?
Well, you know, it always takes 3 months from start to finish, but that's not how much you work on it. We were in 2 weeks, and out of those 2 weeks, we worked 8 days. We had all the backing tracks. We went to the Bahamas for 2 weeks, and out of 8 days in the Bahamas, we had all the vocals. We only worked 8 days in either place. So out of, you know, the 28 days, 16 were working, the rest were getting it ready, you know. It's not like we were just sitting around doing nothing. At the beginning, you have to play all the tracks. You know, you get a stack of demos, a stack of records, you try and write and get it together. So that took 16 days to do the backing tracks and the vocals, then the overdubs and so on. So it took overall 3 months, but maybe 5 weeks of work.
Well, tell me about the band that you have on here. You have some really weird-sounding people, like guitar.
Yeah, well, yeah, you see, I have to look myself. They're so weird. Well, the band on the album, most interesting, because I went to Canada just with Vinny, as we were talking before. All the time I've recorded in LA, and LA is fantastic to record because there's so much traffic in LA. You see? You know, like traffic is George Harrison, Eric Clapton, you know, Dr. John, who lives here. But it's like the traffic in LA musically is wonderful. That's why I stay here when I'm here. And the same in New York. It's a lot of musical traffic. So this time I thought, I'll just get myself together with a band. I mean, just go into some place. You know, because people are always putting, oh, well, you've got him on the album, this on the album, you know, that's what's doing it. So I thought, I'll go in just like an honest situation with the band and see if we get anything. We didn't go to make an album. We went up to, it's a tryout, let's see if we get anything. And the band fell together so well. And these were just people who you'd met a couple of times or came through other people. And that's how the band was formed. You know, and there's great guys on this. But see, these are the names they gave me. And as long as they could play, I just believed them. You see, on synthesizer, there was Hamish Bizanet. I mean, the man comes up and says, I've got a synth and I'm Hamish Bizanet. Fine. As long as you can play Bizanet, you know. So we took him. Who else did we have? Well, on keyboards, Morris Lane. Guy came in. Wandering around Canada. says I can play piano. Well, let's see. Because we spent 5 weeks in Canada getting all this together. We didn't just go in for one day. We did Toronto and Vancouver and ended up in Vancouver, which is very pretty. Well, drums and lead vocals, Ringo Starr. So then we thought we'd go mad, and Vinny calls his orchestra the Peking Duck Orchestra. Yeah, they're just bits of fun for us. Yes, we found the musicians, and that's how the band came together. Because then we had to recreate that sound when we did the TV special a couple of months back. And we had Keith Allison on guitar, Dean Murray on bass, we had Mac Rabenak on piano, Dr. John to his friends, and Lon from Lon Van Eaton, Lon and Derek Van Eaton, on guitar. Where, you know, he had to replace Push Alone in Canada. But he did an admirable job. Next.
Do you think you'll ever go on the road touring?
Well, it's interesting. This year, I mean, I've been talking all year, yes, I'm going on the road, yes, I'm thinking of it. That's why one of the reasons why we got a band together. I mean, just to see what it's like just being in a band, you know, again. Then we did the TV show with the other guys, playing live, you know. And that was exciting too, but there was, you know, 500 in the TV audience if you didn't see the show. And that was exciting, but that's cool for 2 numbers. Now, to do that for 2 hours, I don't know. The only difference in my attitude to touring really is that it used to be a positive no. You know, now it's a definite maybe. That's the difference.
Do you spend much time writing? You have written co-written a couple of songs.
Only when we work.
Which songs did you?
Who Needs a Heart and Old Time Relovin'. Well, it's called Relovin', but it's giving me some old time relovin' like Religion. That's where we stole it from.
When you sit down to make an album, do you go in with a list of titles, or do you sort of sit down and go?
We go in with. Usually, I go through 1,000 demos, you know, from writers and artists and anyone who sends anything in. Not to me personally, thank you, dear listeners. We go through tracks I've known through the ages, you know, that I always want to do. You know, like we did the 16, we did Baby, we did I Love Go on this. Lipstick Traces Lipstick Traces has always been a favourite of mine. Always, I mean, from when I can remember. But this has been the first album where it sort of suited the album. You know, I have a book of all songs I want to do. So you sift through everything, you know. You sift through all the demos that people have sent you, you know, friends, you have writers who send you a couple of songs. You try and write, you go through the old ones. And so that's how you get to it. Like the last time I wrote 6, and this one we wrote 2, or Vinny and I, in fact, wrote 5 on the last one, I wrote 1 solo. On this one, it's Vinny and I, we wrote 2 together, but there's no set pattern, you see. I can't work as a writer where you get up and say, right, play a chord and then write a song. I mean, I can't work like that. It all comes naturally, where I play some chords and the melody and some idea of the lyrics come to me. And that's how I write. I can't write like a job. And so I could sit at the piano for a week and get nothing.
Have you picked a single yet from this album?
Yes, it's in your shops 2 months ago. This goes on 3 months. Well, the first single is Lipstick Traces. On a cigarette, your pretty brown eyes. It's another love song. I do mainly love songs.
You do. You're a very romantic kind of guy.
Yes, do you want to come outside?
You know, the last song on the album almost could have been written for you. A Man Like
Me.
Belongs to the World.
Yes, because the world is a wonderful place. Well, it was originally written for a mouse. I play a mouse in this. Donald Pleasance wrote a book in England about this animal called Scouse the Mouse, who becomes a very big pop star. So, from Liverpool. So I play Scouse. And it was done for. We did an album, but it's mainly done for an animated film, probably TV now. And they had a song which he didn't write. People along with him wrote the song, and it was a mouse like me, And that was his big number, you know. He's made Carnegie Hall, A Mouse Like Me Just Sings for the World. So then when we came to do the album, I always liked the melody. So I thought, well, it's a beautiful track, but commercially it's not viable. A mouse like me, you know, just as silly, you know. I can't go on, you know. And here he is to sing his new single, A Mouse Like Me. So we changed it to A Man Like Me, and that's how that song came about.
It's a great one. It really fits.
You don't think it's a bit melodramatic?
No, I think the way it ends the album's.
Yeah, well, it has to end.
Plus, after the song was over, there's like a pause, and then there's just one cymbal.
Oh, you've played the album then?
Quite a few times.
Well, the symbol, you see, the symbol is the symbol. That symbol has been with me for, what is it, 17, 18 years now. And it's retiring. It had a little, I don't know if you know about symbols, but they crack. And I drilled 2 holes to save the crack, you know. But it's gone past them now, so it's an 18-inch symbol, would now end up as a 4-inch. Because, you know, you'd only have that little bell on the top. So I retired him on the album. So I thought it'd be nice to give it a little tsh of its own. Like lightning. Tsh, tsh. Feel the lightning out there, do you?
Yeah. You work with so many producers. Have you ever wanted to produce yourself?
I find it hard to produce yourself. I mean, and I find most people that do always find it a struggle. And I was, you know, we had all the producers in the band I was in. You know, the Beatles, we had John was the producer, George was a producer, and Paul was a producer. I was never a producer, you know, and it gets down to you can only do so many things. For a couple of years you get real crazy thinking, oh, I must produce too. But in the end, I'm not a producer, I'll do something else, you know. So, on this one is the closest I've been, because Vinny and I co-produced it, though he is the producer in a way. He took most of the weight. But we did produce this together, and we produced it together. A lot of the reason we can work together is because of the years we put in together, you know. We've known each other 5 years now, so, you know, if you go in with a producer, usually you don't know them, you know, and you have to get to know them through the album. Vinny and I had known each other for so long, so if I just arbitrarily say, the bass is crap, or something like that, you know, most producers go, what? You know, and get crazy. With Vinny and I, just, it's him talking, that's how he talks, you know, or something. So it was very easy and comfortable to do it with Vinny. So I think if ever I produced, I'd still go in with someone. Mainly you need someone, you see, if the guitar is not totally out of tune, I can't tell you. See, I'm musically naive. You know, I can sing in tune, but, you know, if instruments have to be really off for me, you know, not just a fraction. So you need someone there musically, and Vinny's good like that, because he gets crazy if they're a bit off, you know. So half of the producer's function is to keep it in tune, which a lot of them don't do, you know. Yeah. It's as important as the feel, you know. Someone will let it go because the feel is better.
Let's talk about some of the other albums you've done.
Well, you can talk about Richard Perry.
Yeah.
Totally in charge. Fantastic. You know, Richard is a great producer where when we mixed the album, we started to mix it in England, and we'd go through the mixes that we both did. And then he'd go back to LA and remix it anyway. But he'd keep the artist happy by letting him participate. You know, that's his style of producing, you know.
But he would totally run the show?
In the end, yes. Richard is a full-on 100% producer. And he'd drive you mad, but, you know, he knows how to deal with artists in each one differently.
That first album was so phenomenally successful. There's so much...
Was the first one?
Ringo.
Yes. Was the first one. You know, so it had to have more... See, now, the standard is the first one. You see, the first one always makes the standard, and that's what you fight. People aren't open-minded enough. They always compare, you know. See, I think this is as fine as that. This Bad Boy album.
Yeah,
I really do.
Because there was so much publicity on the first in regards
That's
to
what
who's on it.
Yes.
And who contributed songs?
Yes.
Does seem to get off hand. Make you
Well,
feel like
I mean, if this one had done that, if this had been the first one, it still would have been a monster, right? But if I'd have done the Ringo album now, it still would have had all that media craziness because I had the other three, you know. So, but if you listen to the Piece of Plastic and that's what you play, you know, which is finer? That's a hard choice to make. I think this is just as fine, Piece of Plastic, but we don't have the other three, which caused the furore, you know. That's why we phased them out. What, phased me out?
Is that why you went to such an anonymous list of
Well,
musicians?
yes. Because this one is, you know, you can only listen to this honestly and not compare. You see, on the others, not only was I being compared, but so was George. They were comparing George to what he did years ago on my album. And he was just helping me out as a friend. But it got more than that. So this one is a totally, you know, if you read it, an abstract album. Not if you listen. But read the album all you like. You'll see the words and you'll see what happened. It's all down. But you must listen to the, you know, oh, that wasn't very good. They did better before, or they did worse, or whatever. There's no they on this one. You either take it or leave it, and that's what I'd like you to do.
I'd seen a lot. I had seen some stories about that where they were making those comparisons, which really seemed absurd. But that album was a very accidental album, wasn't it?
The Ringo album,
Yeah.
same as this one. We went out to try something. The Ringo album, because I worked with Harry Nilsson in London on his album, and Richard produced him then. And I was going, well, it's an old story. I was going to, well, Harry and I were invited to Nashville when the Grammys were on there to present a Grammy, and I was going to pick it up for Let It Be and things like that. So I phoned Richard Perry and said, I'm not going to Nashville for one evening just to pick up an award, you know, and say hello. It's too far to fly, you know, for one day. Let's do something while we're there. Let's incorporate the time. So get, you know, find a studio in Nashville and some players, and we'll see if we can make something. And then he phoned back a few days later saying, well, why don't we do it in L.A.? Just fly to L.A., at least the players are there, you know, and it's L.A. So, okay. I didn't, you know, he was thinking I wanted to do a country album. And I said, no. So we came to L.A., and yet again, we had 8 tracks down in 2 weeks. And not only that, while I was here, John was here, and I didn't know. George came into town, and so I said, I'm talking to John, I'm sitting there, I said, well, have you got any songs? I'm doing an album. He said, well, I'll write you one. He said, I've got one half finished, and he finished it off and sort of tailored it for me then. So George comes into town, you know, said, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm making an album, what are you doing? So I'm doing it. I said, well, have you got any songs? We're looking for, yeah, I got a song. I'll come down and play. I mean, you know, it just fell into place. It wasn't any major sort of situation then for us. Lately, you know, when the album came out, that's when it got big. I mean, just to relate the story so everybody knows, then I phoned Paul and said, you can't be off this, you know, I've got the other 2 now, what have you got? And he said, I've got a song too, and we'll do it, you know, but he wouldn't play bass.
Did you at all consider yourself at that time as sort of a diplomat? I mean, you seem to be.
I am a diplomat, darling. Never considered it, I just am. Can't wait for all the listeners. What? Yeah, no, you see, I'm friendly with most people. Just a thing, you know, it's just hi. And so that, you know, I've always been friendly with everybody. Wasn't being a diplomat. I mean, it only came up later. I mean, it was just natural to life for me. They're my friends. So that's it.
And you also have contributed as a friend your help musically to some of their albums.
Yes.
George's? First.
George's and John's. In the early 70s.
So you played on quite a couple of John and Yoko's albums, eh?
Yeah. Best drummer in town.
Don't have to tell me.
No, I know. You look very nice tonight.
Thank you, you do too.
Is she always this fresh?
I should hope so.
Oh.
What are your earliest musical influences? Can you remember the first time you heard some kind of music and went?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gene Autry. When I was 8. The first time ever that, and he's all over the house, mind you, and people keep freaking out, but I was in a cinema and Gene Autry put his leg over the horn of a saddle and sang South of the Border. with three guys behind him, three Moriartys behind him saying, "Aye, aye, aye, aye." It was the first one, G-Naughty, South of the Border. Just blew me away as a kid, singing cowboy. And then after that was Johnny Ray. You know, I'm 38, so I've been through all them. Johnny Ray sat on top of the Adelphi Hotel in Liverpool and waved to the crowd. Well, I said, that's for me. That's me up there. So, and went through the whole turmoil with Johnny Ray. He was eating in a restaurant, you know, and we were looking in the window, kids. And I went through the whole thing. He's eating like a real person because he was Johnny Ray. You saw him on the show. He was the first one out. Little white cloud that cried, you know. So they were like very early on. Then my stepfather, you know, introduced me to. Well, he sort of was introducing me to big bands, Glenn Miller and people like that, and then Billy Daniels. They were sort of his big two to bring to me. So there's, you know, all through your life, I can remember very strong images coming through, musically. When I'm, you know, talking about when I was sick in the hospital, I wouldn't play in the band unless I played the drum, you know. And they pointed to notes in the hospital, you know, the red mark was tambourine, the yellow mark was the drum, the green mark was the triangle, you know, you'd all play in this little hospital band, so every time you went, bash that note every time she pointed.
You still like country music a lot too, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
So if you were sitting around home playing records, what kind of music you like?
Well, that's it. You play a lot of music. I play country, rock. Try and see what's happening with the new wave. Try and see what's happening in England, you know, with punk and new wave. Play your old favourites, you know. I still put. It's open, you know. If you have to come to the house and you look at the records, you put any of them on, you know. I never like to plug any of them.
Well, tell me, who is your son's favorite band?
Well, The Who.
No, you're supposed to say Kiss.
No. I was going to say, because I knew you were saying that. The Who are Zach's all-time favourites, and Kiss are his American favourites. Hi, Gene. Zach likes you. Well, I've never met him, but they offered him a nice time.
So you think punk rock is happening? You like it?
Yes, I like some of it. Well, you see, it's interesting because I think something will come out of it. Now, you're talking about punk rock or this rock you have in America?
I'm talking about...
The Ramones and people like that? Or you're talking about Who?
Oh, the Who are sort of...
No, not Who, not The Who. Or English punks or new wave.
They are sort of divided, aren't they? I mean, Elvis Costello is a whole different...
Yes.
Than New York punk.
Well, England and New York, or... Yes, punk comes out of New York here, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
There's no... Is there any LA punk? There's the Rockabilly, Ed Campy. Is his name Ed Campy? Bill Campy?
I think it's
Ed Campy. He's real good. But that's a different style. So, the English rock, you see, I feel is harder. The English punk rock. I always feel that American punk rock is sort of... It's a bit suburban. It's, you know, they've had a little bit of garden in front of the house, but they've had all those houses together where... And there's a lot of tenements in America, but I feel the English rock comes out of, you know, tenements, just that very close, high-rise, since the 50s buildings, and they hate it. And I don't blame them. But I think out of it all, and I don't think... Reckless Eric, of course, is Zach's hero right now in England. But he doesn't top the Who. It's tougher, you know, out of England. But out of it, something's going to emerge. I honestly believe that something's going to come through. I don't know what, of course.
It's almost like it's going in cycles. It's taken after the Fab Four.
Yes, but it always goes in cycles. I mean, before the Fab Four or the Beatles, someone pointed out I always call them the Fab Four, not the Beatles. Is he ashamed of it? No, it's just an expression. Self-analysis on the spot. Where were we?
England.
England. Yes, we're in England. Where?
What about punk rock and cycles?
Oh yes, it's all cycles. See, you're as bad as I am. It's all cycles where, you know, we went through the cycle after the dead, real quiet cycle, you know. After Elvis got in the army, it got real quiet, and so then the dead, real quiet cycle, you know. After Elvis got in the army, it got real quiet, and so then we emerged, you know, and now it's going through, I think, you know, the new cycle is just starting. That's what I mean. And something will come out of this one. We've had the quiet one, you know, which is Elton John and Alice Cooper and people like that. And it's going to come back to a heavy one.
Just prior to your emergence from Liverpool, I know that the band was very, very, I mean, as big as you could possibly be in that town. And you were stars in your own right. Did you have any kind of glimmer, any kind of inkling about what a phenomenon?
No, not about what a phenomenon. Phenomena. Sorry. No. Not that big. You always knew it was going to be heavy. You know, but that's a lot of weight.
You're
So,
a very devoted dad, aren't you?
yeah. Oh, yeah, I love my children.
I think that's really nice.
Yeah. 3 little buggers. Oh, can you say that? 3 little terrors. I love the buggers.
Is your permanent residence in LA now?
No, Monte Carlo. Yes, I'm trying to break the bank of Monte Carlo. No, Monte Carlo. If I come to America, then I come to LA. But Monte Carlo is my residency.
How long have you lived there?
2 years.
Did you leave England because of the tax there?
Yes, partly because of the tax. Also, I wasn't married anymore. So, well, you know, you can move on then.
How much of the year do you spend in Monte Carlo?
As much as I can. Really, you know, a couple of months, 3, 4, 5 months a year.
So
It's a good base, you see, because it's only an hour and a half away from England where the children can come and see it. Or I can go there and see them.
Monte Carlo then is a good place to have fun, and when you start to work.
Well, it's not the fun city of the world. It's very small. But you can, you can gamble and you can eat real good food. But living there, you know, if you live anywhere, you don't go on the beach every day. They have, well, pebble beaches really is not real sand. But, you know, for a holiday, there's the beach and the food and the Monegasque way of life, as opposed to the French. But when you live there, you know, you go for the papers, you go on shopping, and you got to get the food in. And so it's not the most exciting town in the world.
You go boating there?
No, I'm not. I used to be in the Navy. I'm not into boats. You know, there's a lot of nice boats there I've been on, but I don't ever want my own. So just to be a guest for a couple of hours is fine.
So when you're not working, what would be a typical day for you?
Typical day. Where? Here, Europe, or where?
Either or.
Here?
Just a regular day as you would like to spend it.
A regular day as I'd like to spend it. Get up about 6:30 in the morning. Jog for a couple of hours. I never jogged in my life.
Not really. What would?
No, really. What would you really like,
What would
me?
you really like to?
Well, when it's sunny, see, LA is paradise to me, to have the sun in the day and all the moons at night. You get up, have a nice. I love it here if you can sit in the sun. So the day here, I like to get up about 10, go and sit in the garden, you know, do maybe just some light paperwork or read something, see some friends. Afternoon, have a shower, get yourself together, maybe go into somewhere shopping or doing something, having a look around, maybe calling someone, meeting someone. Home, 6:30, after visiting somewhere for a cocktail. Sit around for a while, get yourself together. Dinner around about 10. And the night's free. Whatever goes on. That's about a nice day for me.
Sounds like a nice day for anyone.
It's a nice day if you can get it.
Yeah.
Well, you asked me, I mean, what would be a nice day? I mean, you get up in the day, it's the same as everyone, you know. No one really wants to get out of bed. You get yourself together. You got to. Today wasn't typical. You have to come in and do the business, you know. There's no such thing as a typical day, really. I don't feel.
What I'm driving
I'm
at
really pleased that you're both wearing the badges.
is, you know, people think, geez, Ringo Starr, my God. He doesn't take a, you know, go to the bathroom.
That's why I told you about Johnny Ray.
So that's why I wondered, I know people would be interested in knowing that you're just regular.
Well, is this a late night show?
Not necessarily. But maybe.
I mean, you know as well as I do, my dear, there's nothing like a good dump. Average day in the life.
On this album, I don't think I've ever noticed before, but you put your title. You put Ringo Starr MBE.
I do that a lot of time. When it says Richard Starkey, it's usually MBE. Ringo Starr doesn't have an MBE. Richard Starkey MBE.
And that's member of the...
British Empire, which is dwindling in front of our eyes.
Quite
Yeah.
rapidly.
Well, so I was given a badge from the Queen, and I am an MBE, so when it's Richard Starkey, I tend to use it.
So did it ever save you from getting speeding tickets or anything?
No,
Nothing, huh?
no.
What does an MBE get you?
It gets you nothing, really. It gets you the appreciation of a lot of people, and a lot of soldiers send their badges back. You know, when we got the MBEs, a lot of the war veterans sent their MBEs back saying, "Oh, I got this for, you know, saving the country and killing and doing that." And we got ours for industry. So they were a bit upset. How dare you let those long hairs have those badges? So you get it for helping the country in one way or another. It's the lowest order of the empire. It should be the LB. Right? Lowest order of the British Empire. Because you're not even a member. You're a member of the order, which is an OBE. And then, of course, there's knights, dukes, and earls, and kings and queens. When they make me a king, I'll return.
Have you ever hung out with the royal family of England?
Oh, yeah, all the time, man.
No,
Yeah,
serious.
just the Queen and me. Hey, Queenie, how you doing?
And the
Yeah, fine, Ring. How you? Hey, Phil.
younger members, I mean.
No.
No?
I don't know Prince Charles at all. Met Margaret occasionally, and it's all okay. Love the Queen Mother. She is the most hippest for me. Of course, all grannies are great, you see. I mean, they just give you all those chocolates without the responsibility. Of course, the Queen has this image to keep up, which she does so well. Of course, you know, I'm all for the monarchy in Britain. So I've never really hung out. I've danced with Margaret and my mother, but that's all.
Last Thanksgiving, I guess Thanksgiving a year ago, you went to San Francisco for what has now become a movie, The Last Waltz.
Yeah,
Was that fun?
it was fantastic. But they put me to bed after it. It was great. That was probably one of the finest last nights I've ever been to. It was done so tastefully, you know, and we all looked after so well. And such a great... See, the events like that you have to go to because they only ever happen once in your life. You know, how can you miss an event like that? I mean, I hated missing Woodstock. You know, went to the Isle of Wight and saw all that because we were in England at the time. But events, you must go to events because it's not, you know, it's not a seasonal play that can happen again and again. So I really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed playing at that because it's easy to play at those events because there's no real responsibility. You know, you get up and jam. You know, the band have the responsibility, and anyone who's going to do a number, I just get up on the drums and play with Leave on. It's easy to do. It was fantastic. And there's Eric, and there's Ronnie Wood, and Stephen Stills. I mean, how many times you get a band like that?
Was it the same at Bangladesh at that concert?
It was the same. It was the same in Houston at the Rolling Thunder. You know, I think probably I saw... wind it up. Probably saw one of the... a classic show of my life was Stephen Stills and Carlos Santana. You know, at the same time. And they played, for me, I mean, for them, I don't know, for me, both of them played the best I've ever seen or heard any of them play in a long time. It's great. So you must always go to the events.
And if you play in them, you can get in free.
If you play in them, even the food is free.
Just listening to the record, it sounds like a completely magical evening. Must have been astounding to be there.
Yeah. Oh, it was. Well, they are, because it's an event.
Do you ever, tell me, have you ever wished that you could be anonymous?
Yes.
Does it prey heavily on your mind?
No. But I have wished for it.
I mean, can you today walk down the street without being assaulted?
Assaulted,
Recognized?
yes, not recognized. No, they recognize you. They wave, they nod, and there's a few autographs. But it's cool now.
People are nice now?
Not all people are nice. But it's easier. I mean, of course, it's easier.
You can get around now.
Yes, I go walking around, driving around, do what you like. It's fine.
What kind of projects do you have in the fire now? We're wrapping.
In the fire? Nothing. I go to Europe. Oh, how can I tell you? It's 3 months ahead here.
That's okay.
I mean, when I leave the studio, then I get ready to go to Europe to do the promotion there and to live there, you know.
But do you have any film projects coming up? Or?
No. I have nothing coming up.
You mentioned the next TV special.
No, yes, well, there's one in the air, but I don't know if I'll do it yet.
So that's all purely speculative.
Everything from this moment is speculative.
All right. Do you have any final questions, Alan?
Not. Was it really the trousers? I think that was my film.
I didn't know that when George did it on the show. He says, you know, we had this intro for him to bring him into the show. And I know what you're saying, but it's just to relate. So he says, oh, no, I'd like to start with, it was the trousers. George, what are you talking about? It was the trousers. I hadn't seen the Ruttles. Of course, now I've seen the Ruttles, I know what it means. But I hadn't seen them at the time.
Did you like the Ruttles?
I liked from 1966 on.
I thought it was great. I thought it was one of the best things I ever saw on TV. I loved it. Have you seen Beatlemania? Any of the...
I have seen none of it, and I don't wish to, and good night.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very easy. You only got to one card.
Well, I remember that.
Now you can ask her those cards.
Loves to work, keep busy. Obviously doesn't have to. Obviously.
Obviously.
You have to, though. What would you do?
Oh,
Too young
I
to
like myself
retire.
quite frequently.
Turn it off,
This is a
lady.
great cover, too.
Yeah. Oh, do you like it?
Yeah, I like it very much.
Good. That was, see, that's the apartment in Monaco.
Oh, it is? You're overlooking the sea here.
The Mediterranean.
Oh.
There's the summer casino.
Mm-hmm.
But it, you know, do you think that relates me?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like, okay, for a new album, who is it?
What's Ringo?
Well, right, you know, that's what we're trying to say. You know, and the thing is, you know, in a way, to your mum and to things like that, you have to be a bad boy to get all the gold and diamonds. You know, and it's besides the title track. You know, not the title track, but the article. See,
You took this picture yourself.
I had the camera in my feet. A Nikon on the South Tower in my feet.
It's
That turned out very
great.
well.
Well, we don't know where this came from.
Oh,
That's not the
secret
sun?
star.
Yes, but look at the star.
Oh, I know.
It didn't have a star filter. There's nothing else flashing. It just came out.
It really did?
Didn't put it in.
It's not a white paint with a
It's
paint.
nothing though. It's in the photo. You had to use it. Just for me.
It must have been a flare pattern on your lens.
Well, that's it. But it's a great pattern.
Oh, it's really
Well,
nice.
I think it's a
You know.
cosmic message.
Well,
Yes.
so do I. Do you like punk? Yes.
Do you like punks?
So go on. Okay.
I have very
Do
poor
gammas.
penmanship.
Yes. Do a live performance one? Okay.
Do you wear a different bunch of rings every day?
No.
Same ones, huh?
This is the new one.
It's
I
lovely.
just had that
It's
made.
great. It's the best one.
This one's been on for years since we went to Australia.
But you have two of these? This one?
I did have. I gave one away.
Oh.
Musical influence. Oh, you've got poetry here. Traditional, old-fashioned romantic, like Schumann stuff. I'd love to ask you these
Am I
questions.
lying?
See, we should keep these, and I'll ask you just these questions. See what you say.
Great idea.
Okay. Oh, you got to the. Oh, we didn't get too much into the films. Magic Christian, that's the main candy. That'll be the day. His fave. Oh. Okay. Positive jolly. Jolly.
You are jolly.
Yes. Jolly is such a weird
You
word.
never say shitty things about people. At least not for publication.
Oh,
Love to
why would you... White? White?
Oh, we're out of wine, I think.
Yes, well.
You drank a bottle of white?
Yeah, aren't I lush?
I didn't even see you.
No,
Oh,
When you
boss,
were gone
he's
from it-
defending you now.
In here. I'll take a spot of that thing.
Okay. It's just how you feel. I mean, I can't waste my time sitting here saying, "Oh God, what a crap house that person is." Why would I bother? You know, forget him. Why would I be hassled to death? You know, it's like a lot of papers. Musical papers aren't really musical because it's just some mad arse's point of view. Where, oh, you do 5 pages of putting someone down. I always feel it's a waste of energy. You know. Why don't you write, leave that, go and see someone you like and tell us about them? How dare you say, I'm writing all this just to say how crap it was? I mean, I know everyone has their opinion, but this is a publication, or my attitude.
Every British musician that's come in here said the same thing about the London music papers.
Oh, now it's impossible.
It's gotten, I guess, very vicious.
Well, yes, but it is all,
Or
it's not even vicious, it's just boring. You know, you can make the biggest name in life. You want to be the biggest thing on earth, put everyone down. Put everyone down. It's easy to put people down. Man, I did that radio show. Christ, what a punk. Man, that shit. They don't know what they're doing, you know. It's easy. You know, you can say about anything. I don't. If you're going to put it down, why would I put it down to you? I'd just like to give you, if I could say, why don't you buy this record? It's great. Or in my opinion, maybe crap to you. It's better than saying, never buy that record. You know, what is the point?
I think
bullshit.
we want to do a photo before you left, if that's okay.
That's fine. You ready for the photos? Ready for the photos.
We're ready.
You know, so that's what it is.
You'll
It's
meet
not that I I do. I just ignore it. Why would I spend here putting it down?
It's
And I don't even.
It's rare. It's
Yeah.
rare.
And you haven't heard me really plug anybody either, and I won't do that either. I won't plug them or put them down. It's silly. I made love someone today, just fantastic, which is cool. But you have to stand the test of time.
This is Chuck Olson, photographer.
Excuse me.
Chuck Olson.
Hi, Chuck.
This is Robert W. Morgan.
What do you want?
Ringo, before I shoot your picture, I want to see if you recognize this lady.
Yeah. Oh, you shot these?
Yeah, you've probably seen them.
Never seen them in my
Never
life.
seen them?
When did you shoot these?
In the studio in New York about 6 or 7 years ago.